others for their help in putting on this podcast. We'd like to thank Rick, Meredith, and Jeffrey Hicken. Amber and I are going to welcome our special guest, Ron Petro. But first of all, we're going to talk about past events, beginning with the Hot VW's BKP Cars and Coffee on April 6th, Saturday. It was awesome. We had so many cars. We filled the parking lot. We filled the street. It was one of those events that when you find out you missed it, it's like, dude, I should have been there.
I should have been there, but I was in the Caribbean, so
Well, that's a pretty reasonable excuse. I was in the Caribbean,
yeah.
so.
Amber Color actually lived in color, so sorry I missed it.
And then the next one we're going to talk about is the Spring Fest at Wolfsburg West by the Inland Valley VW Club. 201 Volkswagens in a parking lot with 80, I think it said 84 spaces. So
Yeah.
somehow, without the fire department's interference, we managed to get those cars in there. It was a really good show.
Well, the fire department had to leave.
Yeah,
So we
the
managed
fire
to
captain.
managed to get the cars out of the way. So I think it's a win-win.
Well, he had a VW. He had a VW bus, so he had every reason to be there. But
That
I
was a
think
great show.
he was overlooking the parking
Violations.
setup.
On the
Violations,
street, through the
too.
street, in
Yeah.
the driveway. That was a really fun show. It's my first time doing that one.
Yep.
Yep, it was a lot of fun.
I love that show. I always worked with Fred, Hot Dog Fred. And by the way, Friday was the 1-year anniversary of Hot Dog Fred's passing. So love you, Fred. Still
That
think
was-
about you.
That was the last show we did
Yep.
before his passing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and seeing his bus there and seeing the gang there and all of that was nostalgic and I think it was a good tribute to him. So it was a great show.
Yeah, and it helps the family. Debbie and Renee continue to bring, with Glenn Bornoff's help, we want to say thanks, Glenn. He brings the vehicle down there, and we're going to be also at a future event at Canyon RV Park. We used to call it Featherly Park, but that's the Ryan Owsley's event, the spring picnic, and that's where they have kind of antithesis to the waves race. They have the slow drags.
Yeah.
The idea is to be the last one to get to the finish line. So
I've been on the final rounds with the BTO folks, and if they don't stall and 10-foot Doug doesn't win one more time, it's gonna make me crazy. It's very
Kimball
fun.
Rich will be there, and it's Kubel,
Mhm.
and he puts as many people as can possibly hang off.
Slow
of
that
Kubel.
down with some weight.
The idea is to make the car as heavy as possible and to slow it down a little bit. So, yeah.
If you've never been, Spring Picnic is amazing. I got dragged to it one year, my bus was down, and Johnny Salazar said, "Come, I have an extra bus." Who has an extra bus? I can't help, but okay. And that was I'm hooked. So if you've never been to Spring Picnic, it's a lot of fun. They have a section Mardi Gras.
Yep.
A whole section in the back. It's like
Yeah.
not too loud to campers, but it's also a super party. So come to Spring Picnic, check it out.
And I want to remind everybody, one year there was a problem with the spring picnic. People were rude, people had their music too loud, and they made unsatisfactory notes in the restroom. So those people need to get a grip. We want to keep on having that great show. So last year was pretty good. I'm talking about 2 years ago, but
That's a brilliant way to put
that's
it.
over with. So yeah.
Unsatisfactory. Yeah, it got to chuckle out of Rick over here. But that's a brilliant way to put it.
There's another event we'll talk about, but it's going on right now this weekend. It's at Kelly Park in San Jose. That's one I've never been able to get to yet in my Volkswagen life, but I hear great things about it, including they have a Red Barn swap meet, which everybody raves about. It's a good show.
Well, I think we can just keep it on the topic for next year, right? Always trying to get to it. I'm currently camping at Rancho Europa where they have Prado Black Star this year, and we're sort of feeling the place out a little bit ahead of time, and it's a beautiful vacation. So as more details come out about that, don't miss it if you can go.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing if you're not in the scene, you go, well, wait a minute, what do you mean Black Star? Well, it used to be at Black Star
It used to be
Canyon,
Prado.
then it was at Prado, and now it's at Rancho Europa, so we kind of triage the three names together and say, are you going to
Blackstar,
Prado, Blackstar, Rancho Arupa? So yeah, that's a good show too. The next one is the Spring Fling in Madera Fairgrounds. I was there last year. We went to Garnerville to visit with Vic Wilson, and then Rich Kimball and I went to the Madera show, and it was a good show too. So, of course, I'm pretty prejudiced. Any show with a bunch of VWs is a worthwhile deal for me to show up. We did talk about the Spring Canyon, so I think it's time that we welcome our special guest,
May I?
the artist.
First, though, we do have in San Diego, if you're in San Diego.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I did
I
stop you last time.
exited South County, so, yeah.
San Diego actually is below LA, and it's still in Southern California. So if you are in San Diego,
That's Orange County.
no.
Go ahead,
East
Rick.
County. So in El Cajon on Wednesday nights, they shut down the street for VW Fest, and it's all Volkswagens all down the street, and you can't park in downtown El Cajon without a Volkswagen. And last year, I think we had like 104 on a Wednesday night. So that's on May 22nd. Keep that in your books. If you're anywhere near San Diego, come hang out. It's a lot of fun. Also, there is Mr. Mahalo has a show in Temecula. I think you know about this show. And it's a very cool, like aloha vibe. That's going to be on May 19th. So there's more to come in June. June is the month of VW events. So we will cover that in our next podcast, either on the 18th or the 25th. We haven't decided yet. But keep in mind a couple local fair items that you can access and come hang out with. So again, May 22 and May 19th are two shows south of Los Angeles.
And they have a show at Imperial Beach. I know it's out a few months, but oh my gosh, what a show. They park cars, oddly enough, dune buggies and stuff like that,
On the
dirt
beach.
cars, they put them in the sand. And they put buses all the way out on the pier.
The promenade, everything is just packed.
The whole
They shut down
city
Imperial
gets
Beach.
behind everything, and it's a great show. Anyway, would you like to invite our guest in?
Actually, Mr. Petro and I go way back. So like, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I reached out to Ron because he makes, as you see the underdog here, he makes rocks painted into like Fabergé egg sort of style. And for my wedding anniversary, I had one made for my husband of his bus. He's got a gray panel 74 bus, and that's what he had when I met him. That's what brought me into the Volkswagen scene. So I reached out to the expert of art, and I would love to say, welcome to our podcast, Ron Petro. You have a lot of legacy in this building right here, and you have a lot of legacy in the Volkswagen art world. And one of the things when we were talking about who we line up was, let's get the artist perspective on the Volkswagen scene. And so please don't hesitate to lean into your microphone, but
I just happen to have these in the car.
just driving by.
I thought I'd share that.
These are all your pieces. This is your pizza box. I'm sorry.
Pizza
piece.
box, aren't it?
It's an
Yeah,
example of how Mr. Petro uses cardboard and rocks and eggs
Pizza box.
and yeah, to build very unique, ultra, just
Oh, and then
Weird stuff.
Like-
ultra cool, yeah.
this thing right here, we can talk more about it, but it's made from a baby crib, and it like opens and it has crazy. Tell us about your journey. Where did you get into Volkswagen art specifically? That's quite a niche.
Volkswagen only started in '93
Okay.
when I moved next door to Lorenzo Pearson. I came from up north, San Francisco area,
Okay.
and moved right next door to them. And outside of the clattering of beer bottles and things like that, we began talking, and it came, well, I invited him over to the house. And he came in and he looked around and said, who does all this artwork? And I said, I do. And he says, well, how would you like to illustrate a catalog? And I said, oh, really? I said, sure. And he said, it's an automotive catalog. And I said, that's my expertise.
Okay.
I've been hot rodding and doing all this other stuff. It goes fine, so I show up Monday morning to find out it's Volkswagen.
Westcoast Metric.
Westcoast Metric, yeah. And it's been interesting.
Oh, I'm sure.
And through Lorenzo, Rich Kimball, introduced me to Ron Fleming and just about everybody. And
The
I
Schlag.
began to learn about inch pinching.
Yes.
And it's all very interesting to me. And I heard about lightning cars from the lightning bug experts over there, Mark and Paul. They seem to be able to do something feather-like pretty quick.
Oh, I pushed it around his garage. I think it's feather-like. That's crazy.
But your car history is V8 stuff.
Oh, totally.
Tell us a little bit about that, how you got started with being a hot rodder.
Oh, well, that was easy. That was about fifth grade. Teacher was passing out supplies to the kids, and I happened to notice something in the box. I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Well, that's a compass." And I said, "What does it do?" He says, "It makes circles." And I said, "Mind if I try?" And he goes, "Well, no, I can't do that to you because it has a pointed end.
Oh,
And you may hurt yourself." So I watched that box go all over the room, and I watched where he put it back in the supply room. When I got back there,
you put your eye out, didn't you?
yeah, and no, I brought it back, and I was making circles, and that's a perfect thing, because I was drawing cards for friends. And the hardest part, when you do a side view, is all these circles for the rims. And that's okay to do them. You race, and you keep going, and you keep going on it. This compass was the deal. That was the tool that, I could use to further my project. So the first one I did was called Scorpion, was a high boy, and I had these perfect wheels on. Kids loved it.
Yes.
My peers, they loved it. So that's when I started getting into illustrating automotive. Is through hot rods. And then I was doing club jackets, with Invaders was the first one I did. You got 20 people and you got to do each one by hand, but it was fun. So that's what really got me interested in that, but I found out you needed money. So I got a real job.
So where was this in fifth grade? Where did you start?
Oh, in fifth grade, that was Main Nesbitt, Belmont, California, just south of San Francisco, a couple miles.
Is that where you were born? Is that where you
I was
started?
born in San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah. My parents, my father was a Marine Sergeant, both wars, 2 and 3 in. My mom was a fine artist that graduated Chicago Art Institute.
Okay.
My father turned into a draftsman later, but so I had a little schooling on both sides.
Okay. So
Nice.
then you go through the hot rod scene and you're like, I need a real job.
Yeah. Well, I met this girl. She was a high school over, and Stephanie Evans, and we got pretty serious. So I needed to buy her a ring,
Okay.
and I had no money. Well, her father owned a company called Fueling Equipment Repair. So he said, "Why don't you work for me?" I said, "Sounds good to me." So I went down there, and what he did was he worked on the long fuel trucks. He welded inside the tanks of these trucks.
That carry fuel.
And I looked at him and I said, "Do what?" And we went to this first job. And my job was to crawl inside this huge, long tanker truck that the fuel was out of it and it was air dried for 48 hours. My job was to go in with a bunch of rags and block the seams of the partitioned off. So when the truck stopped, it didn't all slosh forward. Each partition had a circle here and then the opposite side and the opposite side, all the way to the back. So you had to crawl in there, and these openings were only this big. So there I go with my red rags, and I'm worming my way all the way to the back, overcome by fumes and everything else. He was getting $200 an hour
Oh my goodness.
doing what he was doing. I was getting
I was
$350.
gonna say.
And so.
No wonder you made good
After
study
that was
material.
done, he would take his oxygen and acetylene tubes down in through all these passages. And I was to stand outside with a ball peen hammer. And if I saw any kind of flame happening anywhere, I was to bang on the side of that tanker. And I thought, gee, this is good, 360, yeah, sure, fine. I'll be a Roman candle tomorrow. But so that didn't work out.
Oh,
That didn't work
the
out.
job or the girlfriend?
So, yeah,
The
but-
girlfriend's solid, but the guy, it was her father, so it was a little tough.
Yeah.
But it all worked out. That was my first marriage, right out of high school.
But you also, besides car stuff, you did some, for want of a better term, serious art.
Well, yeah, but that was high school. I used to cut school and go to the museum in San Francisco, it's Dion Museum. They had Rembrandt paintings there, and those were my favorite. So I cut school, get my 50 Chevy, go a couple miles this way, and go into
Do you have
the
the Renaissance?
museum, and I'd sit there all day and just study art.
Really?
Yeah, well, I was getting A pluses in art and D's and F's and everything else. And so that was my love.
That sounds fun. I mean, like, it's good you can follow your passion, right? So then you did car art, and then how did you bridge the gap between dying as a blowtorch fuel tanker to being a successful artist? What did you do in between?
Okay, so by successful artist, we're talking about making money at it,
Making
or,
money.
so,
Dollar
Oh, you
bills?
wanted to know what that was?
yeah.
You guys asleep yet? Amber's gonna be handing out pillows and blankets.
You know, you actually got a nod from somebody in the VW Net Gallery when you talked about the school in San Francisco that you went to. He gave us a nod to it.
Yeah.
You from,
San Jose.
oh, yeah.
So the first timer to the Chile Museum, we brought Tony down from the camp out we're doing from Riverside, and he's in the VW Net Gallery, is that what we're calling it? And welcome to the Chile Museum. We've got our San Francisco guy here.
Studio 111.
I'm also a high school teacher, so I'm wondering the kind of kid who ditch high school to go hang out in a museum.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm gonna, because you can't hear it on
I
the mic.
had a little different rapport with the teachers I had.
I'm gonna relay what he said, because he doesn't have a mic over there, but as a high school teacher, he said, I need to learn more about the kid who ditches school to go hang out at a museum. So that's where the question comes back to you.
The truth of the matter is, I was the only kid who went to the faculty room and was smoking cigarettes with them. Because I was a 5-year post-grad student. I didn't really care about anything other than art. So I got A pluses in art and asked to step in when the teacher wasn't there.
Oh.
I mean, so I thought, hey,
Wow.
this is a good deal.
Yeah.
Well, I
So
went to
there's a
science
substitute
and
teacher for you there, Tony.
I went to science class and went, the teachers and I got along really well because they knew I wasn't a bad person. I just was bored. So once a month or two, I'd go sit in the art gallery for 6 hours. Just stare at Rembrandt paintings and staring back at me.
That brings a question. Which Rembrandt is your favorite?
Oh, he did so many. He was born in 1606, died in 69. Did a lot of portraits, but his eyes, those Dutch eyes, those eyes will drill holes through it. And I used to just stare at him. I'd sit in a room just to paint him myself because I go during the week to run a lot of people there. And I knew the staff by now. And so I just sit there and stare at him. How do you do that? You can't really teach that. It's something you feel and you're born with it and you think about it. It's nothing that can be instilled into you. It's what you have and you're dealing. That's why most of them, Rembrandt died broke. Van Gogh, I think he had $25. No, his brother bought a painting from him for $25.
Wow.
So, I mean, you're not, and it's always after you're dead. We've all heard this before, but it's true.
Yeah, most successful artists don't get financially compensated. They're relatives who carry on after them get the money. But one other thing, and I won't interrupt you anymore, the Rembrandts, I've heard people say you can be in a room and you can walk across the room and those eyes you talk about follow you.
That's the same with all paintings. I hate to tell you that, but no, his in particular are dark brown eyes. And I've met people after I was doing, this research on them. I got the thick book and I just stared at the paintings. It's something that Dutch have, and they're very creative people. They are a very important part of opening up the world. They're explorers, but mostly it was their paintings.
When I went to the European Bug-In one year, I went with the Wiesners,
Yes.
to Holland, and we went to the Rembrandt Museum, or I guess it's the museum, and it was amazing. It's an old rickety kind of thing, and go up a number of stairs, and of course, got to go see windmills and.
Oh, sure.
So you have this passion for art, you have this connection with Rembrandt, you spent time in galleries, and then you're asked to make a VW catalog for Westcoast Metrics.
Right.
And what did you think? How do you react to that? You're like, I have all this art and skill and passion, and you want me to draw
I'll
art.
go all over the place. When people find out you're an artist, they just think you know how to do everything. There are no sign painters.
Well, I think you do.
Sign painters and this and that. They all know how to create something beautiful. That's really not true. I focus my early stuff, and then, like you say, I transformed from hot rods into Volkswagens. It takes you and puts you out.
Yeah.
It moves you around. You don't control it. It's just, it controls it.
It's a
So,
way.
Well, there were a lot of illustrations in the Westcoast Metric catalog, all line drawings
yeah, those
of parts, because of course he's selling VW parts, vintage and current. The catalog's amazing, and the number of illustrations, my gosh.
I think there were 1,400 that I counted. I lost track after that. I think,
That's like your shoe
Jeffrey's
collection.
probably seen many of them. Not all of them, but many of them. I could take anything. It didn't matter what. And I could line draw it, by hand and on the drawing board. I had a protractor and all that stuff. And when I was done with each illustration of each part, money back. Lorenzo would come in with a box of parts. And every day you drop the box of parts up, you take something out and you go, okay, this is what I want you to draw. And this is what it does. He would explain to me how it worked, what it did, the purpose. And at the end of the day, I would draw the parts in the box, and it got to the point where I was getting pretty darn good at it. And I can say it, this was not my forte, I just got good. To where he could say, how long did it take you to do this? I'd say, I don't know, 15 and a half minutes, and then I'd be able to crank it out. My projector was going crazy, I was drawing pen and ink. With a high-tech pen, those are crappy pens. I prefer the quill, but you make a mistake, yeah, the work's done.
Mm.
So, I did about 1,400, and I'm pretty proud of that particular catalog. I did some for BFY. I don't know if you guys remember them.
Bugs for you.
Yeah,
Rich Kimball.
yeah. Darren asked me to illustrate his catalog. I said, sure, I need some dough. So he goes, I want you to do it just like Westcoast Metrics. I said, no. I only do that once. I'll do yours better. How's that? Only to get away from doing the pen and ink and to do it mine. So I got myself 2 colors, black and white. And each part I painted with using black and white. And it's a great tone deal. So I was painting, by the time this catalog was done, I was pretty proud of that one too. It was different than Westcoast Metrics, but it was good. Unfortunately, he ran into some problems.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's all I know about that.
But the Lauren deal, he was your neighbor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how that just so, like by happenstance, you could have lived on another block down the street and
That's
that never
true.
would have happened, so.
That's true. I think about that all the time. I came all the way from Burbank because I came down and stayed with my wife's parents for a while. When the airline got bought out. So I was relocated, stayed in Burbank for 6 months, and then moved next door to Lorenzo.
And you said airline, what airline was that?
Pacific Southwest Airlines.
Ah, but didn't you do something for Pan Am?
No. No, I never worked with them.
No?
PSA.
Did you,
PSA.
was it PSA?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, somebody misled me and said Pan
my
Am.
hired date there, 9/11,
Oh, wow.
67.
Whoa.
Explain the face, smile.
So then I moved next to Lorenzo. Oh, with a small? Yeah. Let me start by saying I applied at the airline. I met the station manager the next day, and we were talking back and forth, and it was Ron Petro, and he used to like to sit facing you, and you're staring into the sunlight. So all you see is this cutout of the guy, the outline of the guy. I thought, hey, that's pretty smart of him, you know. But he says, what are your hobbies? I said, well, I do a lot of art. And he said, well, what kind of art? And I told him, and he said, really? You want to do some artwork here? And I said, well, sure. So I got hired immediately. And it was to illustrate inside a brand new jetway they had. We didn't have jetways up until that point. And the jetway was coming up and we needed to decorate. So I did a mural in the jet. Just so happens, there again, Ron, just so happens, the president of the airline, J. Floyd Andrews, comes out of the airplane and he looks and he says, you know, I heard about what you're doing. I didn't even know who he was. And he says, I heard about what you're doing. I like that. I like that smile you put on that airplane. And I said, well, thank you, you know. And he says, I think we're going to have that as a backdrop behind the ticket counters.
Oh,
And then I went from that to the airplane, the actual airplane. So I did an airplane like it was folded out of a schedule. You know, destinations were at the bottom, and it was unfolded, so the wings were kind of like this, but the center was a big, huge, dense circle with a smile, a big smile. I was the first one to do it.
that's amazing.
Gross Perrin and Rocky got a hold of that, the advertising agency in San Francisco. All of a sudden, all the work that I've been doing and all that, it's taken out. Because I still have some of the originals I did
Really?
with the airline, yeah, and, you know, unfortunately, I think they took credit for it.
Better than luck.
The original painting I gave to a stewardess. The last day I was painting, I had my mock-up there, and I said, here you go, you know. And she took off with me. I looked her up years later to find out if I could get the original, so I could prove it to people.
Oh,
And the people now are all, you know.
not answering your calls.
Well, no, they're all
There.
there and the boss.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
so is everybody, how you doing?
Very, very interesting to hear.
Look into the camera, Ron.
So,
can I just real quick,
Yeah,
get a little closer to the mic? Because I just want to make sure that we hear you, because we've gone back and listened to them and haven't heard before, and it's hard to focus on him versus them versus us, but, we want to make sure you heard.
I had all of about 5 minutes of prep for this.
Yeah,
That's exactly how we want you.
yeah.
Surprise!
Have a little more fun in the clean room.
Oh.
Talk
The
about this.
petroglyphs that you make for the magazine, for how different
Yeah, for a guy
magazines.
named Shin, Watanabe.
He's in Japan right now.
Oh, that's right, he is.
Yeah,
And they're,
Edward Tom.
yep.
yeah, they're in every issue of the magazine, and the themes are always different. They're always very interesting. I was liking the one that was in this magazine. I can't see it too well on the camera, but it's the first one I've ever seen that the artist is part of it. He's in the drawing here of him drawing a mural, it looks like, of a bus, and they're just so fantastic. Where did the themes come from?
Yeah, the ones that look like they've gone on a paint can. Like, what makes your brain do that?
Well, it's from doing years of classic posters. You know, we did every classic, that's where my start was, which can be very nice. And, thinking for that. After you do about 10 or 11 of them, you start to wonder, well, what can I do different?
Right.
I need a theme, you know, so I pick up a magazine if it's from the Dark Ages, and I do a theme of, you know, knights in armor. that kind of stuff. So,
I have like an underwater scene one.
oh,
The bugs,
the
the bugs
judges,
are all,
the judges, or are you talking about the bird?
the bird one,
Oh.
yeah, where all the bugs end up like submersibles, and the backdrop of everything is really super cool. So yeah, I have one of those. I have actually, it's a fraction of this coolness, but in my guest room, it's just covered with posters, and you take up quite a bit of wall space in my guest room. So
I've seen
yeah.
that.
Well, if you've never been to the Schley Museum, you should come, obviously. And back around the corner here, outside of Studio 111, is a fantastic mural done by Mr. Petro. And not only does it have some interesting cars on it, it has some interesting people, heads of people up there. I think Dr. Schwartz is up there, et cetera, et cetera. Where did you come up with the idea for that?
Well, I started out with the two cars drag racing, Paul Slade, and I think I just worked from there. It started with the two cars, it was very plain. But that's so I had the image that was gonna fall back in the perspective of the room. You notice the room's a tunnel. And
What's the
so,
size of it?
Yeah,
19 by 9.
I saw you mark it off.
they're
19 feet
Paul
by
are-
9.
19 feet by 9 feet.
Paul and Mark are in the background. I think very, very pleased with the work, and it's 19 feet by 9 feet. It's
And it angles.
it angles.
It angles back, right? It isn't
No, the one
straight.
upstairs angles
The
back.
one upstairs is the angle.
Oh, yeah, it
Because
angles
he
back.
had
That's
it
the
upside down
upstairs.
like this, right?
That was weird.
It was a Michelangelo moment.
That's how he got his name.
Right there's the Pope, right there.
Mark Schley, the Pope of.
When will he make it in? But that, there was a couple problems with it, but, you know, basically, I just wanted to have a feeling, and I don't mean to embarrass anybody here or anything, but of greatness. Like yourself, you know, all you guys, ground zero for the Volkswagen Performance Group is sitting right there, you know? And these guys, well, I can't say enough about the people, I mean, wow, and, you know.
Well, this one over here, I'm always excited when I get to look at it and see how one car really stands out.
Oh my goodness.
I think it's an orange one.
Oh my goodness.
And there's a
Oh, wait, it looks just like
representation of
this
that
one. Wait,
orange
whose
car.
car is that?
That actually is Doug Gordon's car,
And it was?
the Underdog.
And how did you love it?
I drove it.
Uh-huh.
Not that one right there, but anyway, you've done so many of those nice things for a lot of the people that are in this room and a lot of people elsewhere. I know I called you up
Eggs.
on a 3-week notice and said, I'm going to Indonesia.
All
I
right.
need a drawing of a couple of cars, and they want me in it, and they want a Southern California look. And
Can you
bingo,
see that on camera at all?
there it
Want me
was.
to get the poster?
Fantastic.
Yeah, we can't see it.
All right, let's try.
It was, and thank you again.
Oh, it was my pleasure, completely.
Amber.
Bring it right here where it goes.
Can you see it?
He's got the same shirt on. No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it at all, but it's pretty badass.
It's got lightning bug stuff on it too.
Of course it does.
So, you talked a moment about building buildings out of a pizza box. Can you see this one on camera back here?
Just barely.
Bring it in.
Put it up front with the other one that's up here.
This one up here. I'm gonna do a quick lifty lifter turn. The base is a pizza box. The detail is ridiculous.
It's amazing.
It's made of the little steel top, why is the lettering backwards in the front of the bus?
So when you're in front of the bus, you can read it.
That's the way it was.
In
You
your
looked in your
rear
rear view mirror and it was the right way.
I guess I'm just trying to prove or help people that have a creative sense. You can make something out of nothing. That's out of baby crib scraps.
This
This
one
is
here.
out of a pizza box.
Okay, so I'm gonna hand this to you because this has ridiculous level detail. And would love to see you explain to people what you put together there.
I don't know if this is gonna show them. Well, this is,
Should he
Little
walk
bit.
around
Little
to the
bit.
front of the table and do it there?
no, I don't.
I'm not Vanna White, so I'm not gonna be helpful with
I don't
that.
know.
Trust me, the engineering alone that goes into this rivals the artistic part of it.
It is the key. And I just wanna make sure that when we look at the top's still attached. I left it open for, Mark and Paul to see the works and Ron yourself also. This is made from nothing, no measurements, it was hand carved, things like that. So
But from a baby crib.
from pieces of a baby crib that was crushed.
And like
It's
Mr.
right.
Rush said earlier, the finish on it is really unique.
And that's time, but like I said, I was like 23 now. No, this was, yeah, no, 27. I was probably 27. But I always had this box in mind. And I knew what it looked like. And I just never got around to doing it. And when I got the scraps, I started laying it out. And I said, this will be it. So I built a box with no intention or purpose in mind. I was just building a box. I wanted a rat on top of this box. So I carved the rat, I carved everything, made everything. And then I said, well, it's gotta have a purpose, so it opens up, turn the rat, and you have yourself a jewelry case.
I'm gonna turn it around because this is, the very specific detail of the parts and the working inside are all very granular and very, very cool. So there's a couple rings in the shelf, and the shelf pops out.
That's a fun.
I'm sorry.
I like the devil run out of here.
Yeah.
So then, I said, well, that's pretty nice. What do I do with the rest? So I carved these two heads, one in the front, one in the back. You pull his head out, you have to pull his head forward. You turn it to the side.
And it opens up 2 more compartments.
Tommy Costello, you built this. You made this for me out of skateboard.
And then the rings that are up in here, what's the story of these?
The rings themselves,
Mhm.
well, these are just those pieces of jewelry. That's all these I would have, just a box. But it also has something in it, So, hey, okay,
Oh, there you go.
It's a fancy jewelry box.
yeah, that's all it is.
But it's all hand carved and it's all personalized. and
Well-
it's very cool.
And when I finished it and showed my girlfriend, and she went,
Get a rat on the top.
So, thank you.
"Yeah." She goes like this, she goes, "Oh,
That's it?
Ta-da.
she goes, well, if you're gonna have all this stuff so everybody gets tricked into knowing where stuff is, what makes you think he's not gonna take the whole box?" Oh, that's it.
So here's my thought. You still have the box. Do you still have the girlfriend?
No, for my box, all right?
Yeah, that's great.
Oh,
it's
and I'm
fantastic.
back, this guy, he's got the diamonds. He doesn't go side to side, he goes up and you grab his goatee. That's what it's.
Ah,
Oh, yeah, and this one, so I've already told him my favorite color is orange. And it's unfortunate this one doesn't fit me. But this one, you can't see it, but it's a beautiful
Victorian woman.
Victorian woman profile, and the gold flays the hair. It's just
I
beautiful.
had that, and some other ones I didn't bring.
Yeah, I get it. You gotta hide the other ones in places. You didn't just give all away the secrets to your box.
Well, look, I'm coming to Orange County. Thinking,
and also, you like to build ships.
yeah, I do.
In a bottle. Boats in a bottle, right?
No, just outside the bottle.
Or outside.
the bottle. I built them inside the bottle. I like them outside the bottle.
Easier access.
Yeah, I don't know if you've got a picture of one.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And then tell me about this. This is like a boat meets a Volkswagen meets an island
Well,
Well,
talk,
meets a pizza box.
well, talk about the boat, the ships first.
Yeah.
Or what got you into the shipbuilding?
I worked for a company in San Francisco called Ship Model Gallery. And we would have ships coming in, ship models coming in that needed repairs. And because I had that little bit of patience, I could rebuild a ship.
Yeah, we're gonna ask.
And so then I would give them it back, completely restored. And so from that, I started building my own ship. I said, if he can sell these things for $16,000, $20,000 ships I was working on, models, why can't I just build my own ship? But I never got around to it because I was down at the airport going, okay, where's the next flight? Anyway,
The struggle for the legal tender sometimes gets in the way of many artists.
Money.
So,
Real all board.
I have a couple things too. I saw this and I wanted you to pronounce and tell us what it means. I think I know what it means, but
you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
you remember that? It
Yeah.
was you and
No, it
three or
was
four friends,
Tommy Costello,
right?
Ron Petro.
So is that a word?
It's a gathering of friends.
Rolando,
Yeah.
no, just gathering of friends. That's pretty interesting how you pull that off.
So it's actually TCRPIMRA, and we're really trying to find out if that's a real word or if it's
Oh,
just
no,
it's just abbreviations. But how
that
would you
was
say
totally
that?
a joke.
Mr.
Because I-
Petro said, pronounce it. Well, I was asking him to pronounce it. I pride myself, he's trying,
Yeah.
I get stuck.
I don't blame. Well, that's about it, huh?
No. We're certainly not done with you.
No.
I thought I heard my dog start.
Yeah, yeah.
No. It says your.
We do want to, I did want to mention that next week I'm going to Hawaii for Bears Memorial Service, and we miss you, Bear, and it's a beautiful place to go for a terrible reason, but we're going to say goodbye to our friend. The other thing I wanted to mention was not a lot of people are aware. A lot of people are aware of this date, 420, what it is to the marijuana world. But it's also, Hitler was born on 420, would have been 135 years old today.
So I think he's probably not alive.
And we don't care much for the man, but we love the car that he made happen. So Hitler, thank you for the Volkswagen and inspiring Ferdinand Porsche to build a people's car. Back to your relationship with VWs. It began with Lauren Pearson, but it also was inspired by a lot of other people in this room, the Schley brothers, Rich Kimball, who's not here, the work you did for them. And yet, your own street car is not a Volkswagen. It's a Dodge Challenger, Charger?
I've had both, yeah.
Oh, you've had both of
Oh,
those.
yeah.
We call them C cars.
Yeah, well, merging is so much easier.
Well, I think you'll find that most of the people in this room that have a Volkswagen have ones that don't have any problem merging. Power to weight ratio, there's a lot of Volkswagens running out there. Matter of fact, the history of this club was built on racing V8 cars.
You know, blue flamers, yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Look, I drove a modern Volkswagen over here. I borrowed from the Fords, thank you. And my passengers clinched the seats pretty, they're all mine. And then I get there, I'm like, but did you die? Like, it's okay. Yeah, there is no such, they're all ramp wars, as Kathy likes to put it. It's ramp wars, right? Like, you've got to race up that.
We're getting down to the last 10 minutes and would like to know if there's anything else that you'd like to talk about. Anything on the horizon for Mr. Petro, or
Oh, man,
a mural in your picture, or?
this age,
At any age.
Did you ever get involved in painting a car and doing a layout on a car?
well, I gave Rich Kimball's car some tattoos.
That's right. That's
Tattoo
right.
car.
On his
Well,
oval window.
The ovals only?
So one thing we talk about a lot in our podcast is how we inspire the next generation. And as somebody who just takes brilliance and puts it into artwork and has continually evolving artwork that we can share, what would you say, like, the kid who wants the Compass in 5th grade? What would you say to, like, the kid who's interested in Volkswagens, or like to the younger generation? What would you say to them on a global stage, whether they're here or across the world?
just keep going.
Do it.
It's already, the fire's already started. All you have to do is just keep going. Don't let them beat you down.
Don't take no.
No, it's, you're gonna do it anyway. I just feel like if you can make something out of nothing or something, it's not, as long as you're creating, you're not hurting anybody. I've never met a model I get like.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just is. Yeah, it's right here.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the same for the people listening. I mean, I'm not the burning bush, I'm just giving my
That's what we want. We want your 2 cents.
my 2 cents. Yeah,
We're reaching for a quarter. We want at least a quarter.
We'll call it 2 cents, but we're gonna put a little more to that.
well, I think we could all do it if we all wanted to. I'm the only one here that does this way.
No.
Because you're not going to die rich.
No, and certainly putting money into a race car, I'm not gonna buy rich either, but I want it. I want to be on the racetrack, and I pour money into a Carnegie and I get out there and I race, and am I winning everything? No. Am I having a blast? Yes. So right, just do it.
Yeah. I'm sure that people listening in right now, they want to know how to make their Volkswagens run faster or whatever. So I don't know.
I'm retired.
So,
Is there any
I
artists? Is there any artists that you like that are doing stuff right now?
Any modern artists that really catch your eye that you think we should keep an eye on?
In the Volkswagen world?
In any world?
Oh, no.
In the art world.
Yeah, the art world. I don't really attach myself to anybody. I don't do that because I want to remain pure. If I see somebody's work and I go, that's a nice work there, I turn around and walk away because I don't want to be influenced by anything other than what I come up with. I
Right.
don't want to copycat stuff.
No, but as a younger person, you stood and you stared at Rembrandt for 6 hours,
Yeah, he
right?
stared back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So does anybody stare back at you?
yeah, not really. No, there's a lot of good, and it's in different fields. I thought the term artist, goes on for a lot of different things. Sean Brown is
Feedback.
nailing that stuff.
Camera shuts down.
He's killing. I wanted to say that. I didn't know if I could.
You are absolutely allowed to say whatever you want. Yeah.
So is there anybody out there watching that has a question or,
And,
Let me look.
subscribe, you can weigh in during the podcast and we can respond to you. Please subscribe, it's free.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks in the VW world right now that are doing, cars or this look of a car. Art Gray's done some, Wes Gray's done some
Oh, yeah.
work for us.
Oh,
And so there's a lot of that, and I love seeing that kind of like grow. But I think that, as far as like a sit back and stare for 6 hours in Rembrandt, those
Well-
are hard to come by these days.
well, there was a connection there, we were talking back and forth. But you gotta be careful. Today, the machine is king. You know what I mean?
Mm,
I don't care if it's Photoshop.
Your hands are to turn the machine on.
Yeah, and then you stand back and you go, here I am, and then you put it on Facebook, a picture of it, you put your pen there. Okay.
Yeah.
Rick, you have somebody?
Actually, I have to apologize. I didn't think of asking the group for questions, but we're hearing from a certain Monica Petrovich, and she's been watching and having some fun comments. It's been really cool. I've thrown a few up in the window.
Nice.
No questions today.
And no, I don't have any questions.
I actually have a question from our VW gallery over here.
So, Ron, you worked in different mediums and different projects. Is there anything on your bucket list that you haven't done that you want?
Oh, brilliant. So she doesn't have a mic, so Vicki in the audience, thank you for being here. She asks, of all the things you've done, the mediums and the different platforms that you've worked in, what would be something you haven't done that's a bucket list for you? What do you want to touch and feel and do?
I want to go into space.
I was gonna say.
100%, I do not doubt that, like even a little bit.
Yeah, in fact, it could be one way.
We don't want that.
The moon's gonna look very different after that.
Oh,
So-
no, you can't think that we're like,
Oh,
you know,
oh, no.
oh, geez.
Oh, no.
No, we're somebody's garbage from a picnic. You know what I mean? We're all good. I mean,
Well,
right?
We're the flies over the garbage at the picnic, right?
well, aliens come into a lot of your art.
It is this last issue. Have you seen it? That does my heart good.
Make sure you're paying attention to the Hoppy W's and you check out the petrographs. Mark, did you have a question?
I was just gonna ask you about our transporter and the painting you did on the transporter with the Martians in it and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm helping field the questions through the mic, but Mark was saying there's a painting about a transporter with the aliens in it and asking more info on that.
That's from a story I heard, probably from, where is my, oh,
Yeah,
Go
the
ahead.
story was that we were in the, traveling across country and Mark had fallen asleep in the back of the transporter where we had a bed.
We're not picking.
So Paul is telling the story over here. You want to come tell the story? You can have my seat.
Oh, we can have it.
This is not a dress rehearsal.
Yeah, exactly. We do whatever the heck you want to do.
Absolutely.
So when Petro was here for about 6
You
weeks.
gotta get down.
He was doing the painting upstairs, and so we were talking about some of the pastimes of traveling around the United States with the transporter. And as he was painting it on the wall, on an angle, totally Michelangelo, bad neck and everything. Anyhow, we said that we had parked somewhere and Mark had fallen asleep in the back, and all of a sudden a truck went by real close and shook the motorhome. And he woke up and said, "The aliens are coming." He was screaming, the aliens are coming. So this guy picks up on it, and if you're ever here and you look at his painting, you look real close to the window of the transporter, he's got an alien. We all agree with that.
I didn't tell anybody about that.
You just
No.
And he goes, one day he comes in and he goes, "What the-" And he's getting closer and closer. He found it. I just superimposed.
How to get back up off the ground, man. You did that so well.
Come on, I got you. Oh my goodness.
So, we want to take a few moments to talk about tomorrow. It's a special event. It's the DKK Cards and Coffee, and it's special because the location this is the last time they're going to be there. And Adriana and Hector, who have the orange detail shop there, are no
Detail
longer
garage.
gonna, they lost their franchise. So we would encourage everybody who's a VW nut to come out tomorrow on Tustin Boulevard to the DKK Cards and Coffee and buy something from Adriana and Hector. I think they're probably looking for a different location. I hope they are. And I know the Deeks, DKK, are looking for another location for that event. But it's a great event. It's free coffee and donuts. So come on out tomorrow. And we'd also like to thank the Schley brothers for allowing us to have this in Studio 111. And Jeffrey and Rick and my co-host Amber. And of course, our special guest, Ron Petro, for making this wonderful SoCal behavior scenes. And we invite you to tune in next month. We're not sure of the date, but as soon as we know, you get to know.
I'm gonna add to this because I know you like to sign off, and I want to throw my 2 cents in.
Sign off.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, all of you, for putting it together. I came from camping. I got to borrow Mark's shower and do my hair and clean up. So thank you for that for sure. Yeah, I got the tutorial on how to work all the knobs and bells and whistles. I also, thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron, for being here. This setup was a surprise for me. So if you see this tablecloth and you see how we've kind of rearranged our mics and we're trying to get closer to the mics and get better sound and all of that,
Thank you, Jeffrey.
I have to give a huge props. I know Jeffrey was instrumental in that because he's our media guru. I know Ron helped make it happen, helps make it happen. But I'm so proud to be here, and thank you all for tuning in. And one more little thing. My notch's name's Sally Brown. And I mentioned it online that, oh my goodness, those are so cute, because Greg Bush hand carves characters, and he brought me a Sally Brown. So I have to say thank you to Greg, because he was our guest last time, and I now have a Sally Brown for my Sally Brown. Oh, Jesus.
We have another artist in attendance.
Absolutely. I forgot about your hand carvings when we did our last podcast, and that calls for a round 2. We're gonna have to have it back. Thank you all.
All right then, signing off. We thank you all. Remember, subscribe. It is free. You never know who we'll talk about next. Go ahead.
He said peace.
No,
He's peacing out.
Oh, peace and out. Right on, brother.